Hi, my name is Zach Johnson, and I'm currently an enrolled freshman student here at Augustana University. And basically, my podcast topic is about pros and cons of quitting high school sports. And what I plan on talking about is, the decision on these students and why they're quitting the sports and how it affects them in the long run, and how it affects them mentally with people around them. And the main argument I'm looking at is, these students who quit sports, it can affect past relationships they have with friends, but can lead to an easier life throughout their 4 years of high school, mentally and physically. So I gathered a lot of valuable research from this topic, and I just can't wait to share this with you guys. And again, if I ever start coughing, I'm sorry. I'm kind of developing a little cold right now, so bear with me. So the first story I'm talking about is I got this from Time, and basically talks about a high school football player who was getting looked at by colleges, and he decided to quit the sport based off injuries he was getting and just based off his mental health. So this story basically starts off his favorite NFL player, Junior Seau. He was found dead after taking his own life, and it sparked a national conversation about the physical toll the game takes on players, especially on professional players who dedicate years to what is potentially killing them. And it made him realize how much he hated getting hurt and feeling pain playing football. So he decided to get a test, and he found out he's suffering from CTE, which is a type of chronic brain damage. And it happens for a lot. It's just very common for a lot of football players. And his favorite player, Junior Seau, also suffered from CTE. So he wanted to quit the sport, but he didn't want to tell anyone at this time, including himself. He loved playing football, but because of and based on the stigma that people gave against quitters and against those who couldn't take the pain to play football. And in the town he grew up was a big football town, and they didn't like quitters. They liked people who work hard. They didn't like quitters. But he ended up quitting the sport. He ended up quitting the sport he loved, and that ran deep into his family. But he did mention, though, he's still a loyal fan of the college and professional teams that he grew up with and that he liked, but he never played another down of football again. He had no big stories about personal glory or big games that he helped win or hard hits he made on other players, but the only memories that stuck with him were the times he got hurt, the times that he felt terrible pain, and the times he really questioned why he ever played the sport. And one story he remembers is the time he got horse collared, which means another football player, they're tackling the guy with the ball, but instead of tackling him right, they tackle him by the neck, grab his neck, and pull him down. So he did that on him, and the dude laid on his back, and full weight on his back. It covered his windpipe. He was gasping for air. His eyes were watering. And he asked the coach to sit out, and the coach yelled at him and said, "You know what? You're fine. You're fine. Sit on the bench. If you're not gonna play, you're gonna sit on the bench." And he started crying, and he ended up never getting back into that game, and just based off an injury. He did mention, though, it was difficult to see the number of young players entering high school drop across the country, and it even hurt him more that he was one of those people that quit. But this is a great thing he mentioned. A game isn't enjoyable when it becomes more than a game, especially something that leads so much destruction in your mental health and physical health. But overall, when quitting, his life became so much easier for him. He did better in school, and he's still watching the sport he used to play, which is great. And I see this a lot when I was in high school. A lot of players were getting hurt. It just wasn't fun for him. There was this lacrosse guy at my school, and he broke his foot, and he was out for probably 9 months, and he came back, and then he tore his Achilles. So it was tough for him, and mentally it was tough for him just recovering for all that time. And this is something that we need to look at as a whole, and in this country, that we just gotta figure out these mental health injuries, and figure out a problem solver for it, I guess. Next, I'm gonna dive deep into some depression stats I dug up. So according to the Depression and Bipolar Support Alliance, depression affects approximately 17.3 American adults, which is just over 7% of the U.S. population ages 18 or older. Yet recent studies have found that among high school and college athletes between ages 18 and 25, anywhere from 15 to 20% of them suffer from depression. That's nearly double the rate of American adults, and that doesn't even talk about, freshmen to juniors who are between the ages of 14 and 17%, which I believe is maybe way more, which is crazy. It just shows the amount of stress these these athletes are in right now. And, you know, what I think of these stats, you know, I see a lot of this. You know, I play college basketball here at Augustine, and I see this a lot with our team. I saw it a lot when I was playing in high school. You know, a lot of these students, you know, there's different cliques in our teams, and you know, I saw a lot of bullying and times when I was playing football and basketball in high school, and you know, it's hard to stop because, you know, like captains would jump in and they'd just keep doing it. Coaches would jump in, they'd keep doing it, and you know, I feel like that's a big cause of people becoming, like, their mental health becoming worse. And I feel like another big thing is just all the work they're doing. They have to deal with stuff from back home. They have to deal with school. They have to deal with the sport. You know, it's just a lot to handle for these athletes, which can be really tough for them, and which is why we see just such a big number in the percentages of athletes suffering depression. Next, I'm going to be interviewing one of my buddies from high school. His name is Liam Doherty, a college basketball player at UMary, and I hope you guys enjoy this interview. Hey guys, so back again. Today I'm going to be talking to one of my good friends, Liam. Liam, how you doing, man?
Good, thank you.
Yeah. So basically, what we're going to be talking about is, you know, people quitting high school sports and how the two main factors are from injuries and from depression. So first, Liam, I'd like you to talk about, you know, your athletic background, sports you played, and stuff like that.
Yeah. So like up, I always pretty much played like 3 or 4 sports. I played basketball, football, baseball, and then I ran a little track too. That was up until like my freshman year. I was still playing all of them, but then after that, I just got way too busy, especially in the springtime with basketball, and track, and baseball. So I ended up not playing baseball or track after that. So my sophomore year, I was just playing football and basketball. And then at that point in the fall, I separated my shoulder pretty bad playing football. And so that was kind of when I was deciding that I really wanted to play college basketball and devote a lot of my time and, you know, body to playing basketball. And I just decided that it wasn't worth it to keep playing football. So I quit football after that, and junior and senior year were just strictly basketball. So yeah, that was my youth career.
Okay, sweet. So you know, after you quit football, did any like friendships or relationships, you know, get affected with guys on the team? You know, did your teammates grow apart, or are you still friends with some now?
No, I never really. I mean, I didn't experience like any drift, I guess. Like everybody was pretty chill about it. They understood why I stopped playing. Even the coaches, you know, they were all like really understanding. Like I had this goal of playing college basketball, and you know, everybody got it. And in that case, you know, nobody hated me for it, I guess. And so I kept being friends with all those guys, and yeah, nothing bad. So
for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So next question. So you know, in the fall, football is in the fall. So for school, you know, was it after you quit? Was it easier for you? Was it harder? Did your grades end up getting better or worse? So talk a little bit about that.
Well, I definitely had a lot more time on my hands. Like, you know, I quit football, yeah, but I still played a lot of basketball in the fall. Like I was just putting more time into that, but it still gave me more time at home, and therefore more time to, like, you know, focus on school too, because I wasn't going to practice like every day for, you know, football practices are long, you know, so I was cutting that out of my life, and then, you know, just, yeah, I definitely had more time, and therefore school got a little easier for me too.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so next question, we'll be talking about a little bit about depression. So doing research, 21% of student athletes suffer from depression. So due to either bullying or just like mental health issues, like dealing with practices and such. So, you know, at any point in your athletic career, did you ever feel down on yourself or somewhat depressed throughout your time playing?
Yeah, definitely. I'm still surprised that number is only 21%.
Yeah, for sure.
It's especially for athletes who just play like their whole lives is just devoted to sports. So you put so much time into sports and you miss out on a lot of other things. Sometimes that takes a toll on a guy, but yeah, no, I think and then you risk burnout, and that's tough too, because then you devote a lot of time to one sport, and I don't know, maybe you're not seeing results in your sport, and you just you start asking yourself, like, why am I doing this? But I do think that it has a lot of payoffs too, and that's what helped me through all the bad times.
So, last question. So, basically, your final thoughts. Do you think students should quit the sports they're in if they're not enjoying it? And do you think this is a subject that needs to be continued to be talked about throughout the country?
Yeah. No, I mean, it depends on the scenario, but yeah, say a kid's not liking the sport they're playing, then to me, definitely, if they're thinking about quitting, I think they should, because it affects the way that they perform. It affects their teammates, the performance of the overall team. But then also, like, it's tough to play a sport that you don't want to play. Like, that's just, I wouldn't want to do that. I don't know why anybody would. And yeah, of course, I think people should talk about this. Like you said, 21% of athletes suffer from mental illness or depression because of their sport. Like, it's not really a big thing that's being talked about now, but I think it should be, just because of that fact that it's a bigger issue than people think it is, and maybe that would help people realize that kids don't have to be 3-4 sport athletes for all throughout their youth careers.
For sure. All right, Liam Doherty, everyone. Liam, thank you for your time. I appreciate you answering these questions, and I'll see you soon, man.
All right, boss. We'll see you.
That's the podcast, guys. Thank you for listening, and I hope you can take away a few things from what I gathered. And I just feel like this is a subject that needs to be continued to be talked about nonstop. Because mental health isn't a huge subject around our country, I feel like, with athletes. So if we can continue to talk about it, continue to find answers, so how to try and get this better, you'll see these stats go down, which is what we need to be focusing on. So, but again, thanks everyone for listening. I appreciate it, and hope you all have a great life. Appreciate it.